In this video I'm going to show you how to make my mountain garland origami model. This model is folded out of standard 15cm origami paper. If you've got duo paper, i.e. paper that's got a second colour to the other side, you can make a model maybe it's a bit more fancy like this. For the video I'm going to use 21cm origami paper, just makes things a little clearer, and my paper is a light brown on the other side. So here we are, this is my mountain garland origami model. So starting with our paper the coloured side up, we're going to fold both diagonals. If we turn the paper over, we're going to do quite a few more pre-creasing steps. First thing is to fold the paper in half both ways horizontally. Now we're going to pre-crease each of the four corners to the centre. Now we're going to crease each of the edges to the centre crease. Everything here is going to have a symmetry, so we're going to fold everything 4 times. Two, rotate. Turn the paper over once we've done those creases. We're going to make one more diagonal fold on each corner, which is to join this line to this line, or this point to this point. So I'm going to fold, I'm going to match this horizontal crease to the centre crease. It's important to be quite precise with this, and we're going to do that 4 times. Okay, now we're going to start the collapse of the model. First thing we're going to do, there's a triangle here that we can pinch together like this, and if we do this on all 4 sides, we'll start to make a kind of box shape, we can actually bring all of these up together. We've made a kind of box shape, and the whole idea is we need to do a water bomb fold on each of these sides. The creases are already here, so we're just going to do this one. So get the water bomb like that. So that's one done. We're going to work our way around the model. Water bomb on this side. And again. And once you've done all four, it will lie nice and flat. Okay. Now I can flatten that down. I'm not going to make the creases too sharp because we've got a lot of creases going for each of these points, so we want to be gentle. Right, that's the main pre-crease and collapse done. We're now going to zoom in a little bit and work on some of the details. First thing we're going to do is to fold and crease each of the corners to the centre. Fold and unfold. Okay, if we turn the model over, we're going to prepare for something that we're going to do a bit later on. We're going to make effectively a bird base out of this square here. So what we're going to do is crease each edge to the diagonal line, only up to the halfway mark. So put the first crease in. So it's a crease like that. And we do the crease this side as well. Fold the edge to the diagonal crease. And then we've got those two creases in there which are going to become kind of a reverse fold later on. So we're going to put those creases in on all four corners. Okay, that's that done. So that's going to eventually form kind of a bird base in the centre of the model. We're going to keep it flat for now. If we turn it over, we're actually going to make those same creases again on this square. So I'm going to take, the easiest way of doing this is to make one of these raw edges lie along the diagonal here. So if I put the first one in, I'm going to take this raw edge, and there's a diagonal crease here, and I'm going to fold like this and just crease to the halfway line. So I've made that crease there. We'll do the same the other side. So this edge is going to lie along this diagonal. So we've got the same thing we've done on the back, and that is going to become a reverse fold as well, which is going to be like this. But we're going to make all of those creases first. So this edge to here. side. Last one, I think. Now, we're going to make those reverse folds now, so folding on those two creases, fold the square in half, and it doesn't matter which way round this points. Mine are going this way. So each of those reverse folds in. That one's gone the other way, we'll just swing it over. And this last one's there, complete. Okay, the next thing to do, going to pre-crease to make a series of reverse folds. When I fold the model, I don't actually do these pre-creases, I fold directly when I'm doing the next stage, but this is a slightly easier way of making the creases beforehand. So first thing is, each of these coloured triangles, going to add a valley fold and then make a squash fold. And then we're going to fold the edges of the square to the centre line as if we was about to make a petal fold. So like this. Like that. So we need to do that on all four sides, so we'll valley fold, we'll squash fold, and fold the edges to the centre crease. I'm just going to do the other ones quickly. Okay, so it should look like that. Now I'm going to unfold these flaps and unfold the squash fold. So we're back to a bit being a triangle. And we'll do that on all four. Unfold, 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 final one. Now comes the fun part where we turn all of those into reverse folds. So if I lift this corner up, we'll kind of see a square, half of a square here. We're going to make, first of all, we're going to make a valley fold so that this triangle is actually, it's kind of an inside reverse fold. It's going to point the other way. So rather than repeat that on all four sides, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do all of the reverse folds on this one and then move on to the next one. So it's open the square out and valley fold. If we open this out again, we're going to make this edge go along here, so it's a reverse fold. the creases are already there. So it looks like that. And then we're going to make 2 smaller reverse folds. Again, those are the creases we made just now. There's 1. There's 2. And what we should have is kind of 3 points made. So we're going to do the same on this one. So I'm going to open that out, swing that flap over, turn it into a reverse fold, and then I'm going to do 2 smaller reverse folds. 1, 2 more to do. Open up, swing over, reverse fold, 2 more reverse folds. Last one. Okay, so we've got 12 points we've made here. These outside points are quite thick. We want to thin those, we want to fold those in half on each side. And the way to do that is we need to make 2 initial creases and then effectively do a kind of a rabbit ear. So the crease is to fold this tip to the centre as far as it will go, and I'm going to make a pinch here. I'm not going to fold all the way across, just a pinch there, so we've made a crease. And now I'm going to fold this edge to that edge as a diagonal to thin the point, and we're only going to fold up to that crease line we just made there. Okay, so we've got that crease and that crease, and where those 2 creases meet we need to make another valley crease from here right to the corner, and it's easiest to pretty much do the 2 folds we've just made and fold that then. So we're raising a point, we're starting to make a fold all the way across here. What will happen is once you've made that crease, this point should be able to lie flat, touching the centre, like this. Right, got plenty of opportunity to see that happen again. So if I swing this flap over, here's what I'm going to do. I fold this point to the centre, make a pinch. I'm going to fold this edge to here to make the point thinner. And where those 2 creases meet, I'm going to make a valley fold that goes right out to the corner of the square, like that, and then that'll allow me to flatten that point down. Swing that one out of the way for a minute. And what you'll end up with, if we sit that point up, you'll end up with 3 little arms, 3 little flaps there. Those are going to be our petals. So let's make that on the other 3 sides. So it doesn't really matter where this lies, just get it out of the way of where you're folding. So I'm going to fold this point to the centre, I'm going to thin the point, and I'm going to make this rabbit ear fold out to the edge, like that, flatten. Swing the point over, same on the other side. So centre, thin the point, and add the final crease to make the rabbit ear. Flatten. Stand that one up. So we've got 3 of these, 2 of these done now, 2 more to do. Getting ahead of myself. Right. Pinch. Fold. Rabbit ear. Maybe we want to swing this over, I'll show you it from a different viewpoint. If I do it up in the air. So, pinch there. Funny fold to thin the point. And then form a rabbit ear, extending this crease to the corner. We've got one more to do. We'll do this one in silence. Okay, so just have something like this where I've got all these 12 points. Now, only a few more folds to do. Next thing to do is just treat this like a normal regular square, because it is, and we're going to make a preliminary fold. So we would valley fold that way, we would valley fold that way, and then we'd fold the diagonals. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just folding in half, bringing the sides together, and we'll get shape a bit like that. And you can see, remember that inside this square we pre-creased for these reverse folds. Now's the time to do those. So with it like this, I'm just going to reverse fold each of those in. So when this comes together, it forms an internal bird base. There. So if I put all that together, bring it together, we can actually, if we want to, flatten the model, it become like a triangle. Bring the arms down, we get a shape a bit like this. And the trick here is these triangles that are pointing down are going to be folded up as far as they will go. If we lift that point up, you see where that bird base from the inside underneath is sitting, and we're going to make a valley fold. What will tend to happen is you trap these arms, so we're going to move them out of the way as we make the fold, and that's one side folded up. I'm going to do the same on the reverse. Hold this point up, and I'm going to, if you open these flaps out and swing it the other way, there's 2 more points that need to be folded, that one and this one on the reverse. So let's fold those up too. And these are the last 2 actual firm folds that we'll be making on the model. Turn that over, hold that point up. Okay, we look at this from the end. we can, there's an arm that's trapped there, we can make that into kind of a cross shape, and there's our arms, we can raise our arms. This is kind of all of the real folding done. We're going to zoom in again now and look at how to form each of the petals. To form the petals, we're going to use two kinds of squash fold. For these arms, let's start with those. What I'm going to do is make a symmetrical squash fold. You have to count the layers, but there are kind of two double layers here, and we're going to separate those two double layers and have exactly the same number of layers either side. We're going to make a very soft squash. It's not a proper squash fold, I'm just kind of making a pocket there. Once you've made that pocket, bend the paper backwards and you kind of form the petal. So let's do the one the other side. There's two double layers there. I'm going to split those two double layers, expose the pocket, begin to squash, but then bend the paper back like this. So we've got two petals there. For the tip, we're actually going to squash in the opposite direction. Actually, if I turn the model round, we're going to separate these layers and begin a squash fold like this. So I'm going to make sure you can see that. So we're beginning a squash fold. If we turn this back round, we can see the raw edges. We're going to try and lift one of those raw edges up and expose the coloured paper, and I'm going to lift the other raw edge up, expose the coloured paper. So it's becoming a bit like a petal. If we turn it over, I'm just going to flatten that as much as I can. Let me just give it a bit of a squeeze. You should then be able to get this tip flat to the point where you can add a curve to it. So it's like this, and I'm just going to bend that tip backwards to give it some kind of shape there. So there we have the first three petals on the way. So I'm going to try and do the other ones the same way. It doesn't have to be perfectly identical each petal, but best we can, we're going to make the same squash fold. So separate these layers out, make a soft squash, and then bend the paper backwards like that. There's one on this side. Separate the layers out evenly. Softly squash it, bend it back. There. Two more done. Now this tip, I'm going to squash it backwards and then try and tease out the single layer on either side. Sorry, my hand's in the way, but I'm just getting a nail under the paper so I can tease it out. Look at it that side and try and make that fairly wide, so we've got a nice flat area here that we can bend. That's the key to making a nice curved petal. There we are. Two. Right, next one. next one. Right, let's do the tip. If you're using 15cm or smaller paper when you're doing this, you might possibly want to use a little tool to grab the loose edges. I use a letter opener myself, but this size, and even 15cm, you can just use your fingers. So we've got 3 more petals to make, and then we work on the centre. 1 petal, 2, there. So we've got 12 petals, and let's work on these middle bits. Really, the only thing to say about those is you bend them down. So I'm just going to literally bend these down, no folding, just give them a curve, and that will tend to want to flatten these arms that way, but once they're all in place, the tension will kind of even up and it should hold its shape. Might have to work on this a little bit. I'm just adding a curve to each of these points. What's good is when you've got 2 opposite points, I kind of like to grab them both and squeeze the pressure either side. So that should give you the idea though. There, how about that? We will call that our completed mountain garland.